Tonight on the Vince Dow Show at minute 20, Donald Trump will be delivering a speech to the Alabama GOP. This is his first public appearance since being arrested and arraigned the other day in Washington, D.C. We will go to coverage of that, but first, before Donald Trump makes his appearance on stage, we got to talk about this riot that has broken out in New York City over the Cenat PS5 giveaway because, Black Lives Matter, am I right? All right, stay tuned. And we are live tonight from the great state of Florida. Welcome everyone to the Vince Dow Show. It is August. I was about to say July. It is August 4th, the year of our Lord 2023. I am your Galaxy Brain host, Vince Dow, and we got a live Trump speech. Convenient timing to react tonight. That'll be at about 8:20 p.m. Eastern time. So we got about 20 minutes to kill before the giant orange man that you're all here to see will be appearing on the stage. But before we get to, I want to say hour 20, but it's minute 20. Everyone right now, be sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new, obviously. And as usual, if you got questions or comments, especially as we sit around here and filibuster and kill the time before Donald Trump is expected on the stage, feel free to send them in via the super chats. I'll check the super chats periodically throughout the night, and especially before and after the Trump speech itself. All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I put this alert here on the screen because I know people in the chat are going to be like, where's Trump? Why are you talking? Where's Donald? Donald Trump's expected at 8:20, okay? So just an FYI to everyone. But anyways, before we get into that, before Donald Trump does make his appearance, I did want to talk very briefly about this story as of a few hours ago. So a riot, and you know what? I'll say it like this, okay? A BLM riot. And I know people are going to say it's technically not a BLM riot, but really, what's the difference, to tell you the truth? That's why I'm going to satirically and sarcastically refer to this as a BLM riot. Broke out in New York City today after popular Twitch streamer Cenat tried to do a PS5 giveaway in New York City. So here he is just trying to do a nice thing, you know, PS5 giveaway, and look at what ensued. Okay, just check it out, folks. See for yourself.
Why they beat him?
Okay, so there's one video. You may be thinking, okay, but I want the full context. Well, to give you, we'll play a couple of videos here, okay? Here's them chanting about the NYPD. NYPD, suck my dick! 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 Okay, so you get the idea, right? So there's that, and then you think that's it. No, that's not it. And by the way, I don't know New York City, but this seems like it was spanning on for several blocks because I'm seeing totally different parts of the street that they're doing this on. Here is this teenager dancing on someone's car and denting it and destroying the roof because, I don't know, PS5 and Black Lives Matter, but here you go. Check this out. You know, I'm sure they're just kids being kids, though, right? They're actually quite good kids. Last video here. Here's this, just to show you. Here's the scene that they left. Okay, so here comes this YouTuber. He comes into town. He's like, "You guys want some PS5s?" And then this is how they treat the community. Check it out. Last video.
You had to be here to understand.
So as you can see, they literally just destroyed the place. Okay. They've completely destroyed their own community. Now, I guess this is the question: is surely it's just another teen takeover, right? Right? You know, this is just kids being kids, and you know. All right. Here's my question: is how long are we going to continue to make excuses for what is blatantly, let's just say it, oh my gosh, you can't say it like that, uncivilized behavior? Okay? And I want to keep in mind, I want to reemphasize to people, they might ask, why did this happen? Okay, well, the excuse we heard in 2020 when people were literally destroying everything, looting everything, and burning down the country, people said it was because of George Floyd, right? It's a mostly peaceful protest, and it's justified because a black guy died in police custody, okay? Which I would argue still is not an excuse, but at least that's what they said. But now you have it where these teen takeovers, quote unquote teen takeovers, are happening in Chicago, you know, virtually every week at this point. And what does the Chicago mayor say? He goes out there and says, oh, we should be easy because they're just kids being kids and all of that. And then you have this here, okay? They're not rioting over racism or white supremacy or police brutality. They're literally here doing this because a YouTuber came to town and wanted to give away PS5s, and I don't know, you had too many individuals in a place at once, and so we got to just destroy everything and literally cause a riot in the middle of New York City. And for what? A PS5 giveaway? By the way, you know, let me just say, I think that that does tell you a lot about how reparations would go. Okay, you know, just saying. But anyways, I'm sure, right? I'm sure. Let's just keep doing the mental gymnastics and the excuses, right? I'm sure it's just culture that we don't understand, right? They're actually just practicing culture. And, you know, Vince, if you think that shouldn't happen in the middle of New York City, if you think teenagers shouldn't violently destroy their own communities and cause riots in the middle of the day, you know, that's, of course, racist, okay? And by the way, I'm sure they're actually good kids, right? Don't you know? You know, I'm sure they were actually on their way home from school, that they definitely went to that day. They were definitely on their way home from school, and they're about to go home and do all their homework and their SAT practice and their college application and all that. And, you know, what do kids do? They just want to have a little bit of fun, you know, a little bit of fun with their friends, cause a riot in downtown New York City. What's the big deal, Vince? Are you just racist? Are you just not with the times? You just not understand culture? Right? Do you understand how silly this conversation is? But of course, right, we don't have adults in this country who want to have an adult conversation about things. And so this is what they will unironically say, right? Remember what the Chicago mayor said? Oh, the teen takeover, you know, we should be easy on them. Those are just kids being kids, okay? And of course, don't you ever dare acknowledge that there is a severe problem here, right? At the very least, a cultural problem, and perhaps a problem beyond that. Never do that, right? You have no choice but to look at this and think, well, you know, these are kids being kids, and you know, surely if we just had reparations, you know, you wouldn't see scenes like this in New York City. Surely if the school system just got a little bit more funding and the teachers unions had their way, you know, you wouldn't have kids rioting over PS5s in the middle of downtown New York City. I'm sure that's, of course, the case. Okay. So just wanted to give you the updates there. Like I said, it's about 8:10 p.m. So we are now simply awaiting Donald Trump, who is expected here in about 10 minutes. Let me actually go to the right side stream and just make sure. Let's see. We do got a guy speaking here if we do want to tune in there. But yeah, did just want to give you the updates there. That is New York City at the moment, okay? They're doing all of this. You know, surely it's because of white supremacy, or we just don't understand the culture, or, you know, they're actually being very good kids. But, you know, that's the scene here. Anyways, guys, again, if you do want to super chat tonight to support the show and you got any questions, comments, Q&A that you want sent in, feel free to do so. But I don't know, you guys want to just tune in? Let's tune in now to the live feed here of the Trump speech. And again, folks, this is Donald Trump's first speech since being arraigned over in Washington, D.C. So definitely will be noteworthy, and kind of curious what he has to say about that. But let's see, we do got a guy speaking here. I don't know who this is. Should I know who this is?
They're after him. Folks, they're not after him, they're after you. They're after our country. Our country is in trouble. I've been up there 2.5 years, and I've never been embarrassed as much as I've ever seen things that have changed.
Oh, this is Tommy Tuberville.
Yes, we have Republicans and we have Democrats.
I didn't know what he looked like.
But it is as much about Americans versus anti-Americans. People that do not like this country. They like living here, but they don't like the way it is. They want to change our Constitution. They want to change our Bill of Rights. We're not going to allow that to happen. It's embarrassing to watch it go on. They've ruined our borders. They've created crime. They've infiltrated our DA and our prosecutors. They've done everything they possibly can to bring this country to its knees. Inflation. And how about this?
All right, we will read chat periodically while we tune in and out of this speech, okay? Because I don't know how many people cared about Tommy Tuberville's speech. But let's just take a look. Riots like that don't happen in Republican-led cities. Well, they do, in fairness, they do on spring break. Okay, you ever seen Miami on spring break? Just not without repercussions. I guess you are right about that. But yeah, that is Coach Tuberville. I'm aware. I didn't know what he looked like. I definitely know who he is. Let's take a look here. Vince, when are you going to debate Victor Shi? I don't think Victor Shi will ever debate, okay? Victor Shi's not exactly a very open book when it comes to debate or discussion or whatever it is. He just kind of tweets and logs off. I think partially because he knows how ridiculous the things he tweets are and doesn't really want to answer for them. So I doubt that would ever happen. But, you know, Victor, we are open anytime, okay? Anytime you want to debate, just come on the show, or I'll come on your show, or do whatever you want to do, okay? You do whatever you want to do. But I think as the leader of the Asian Gen Z conservatives, you know, I feel it is necessary to confront you in a mortal kung fu battle, okay? A mortal Shaolin showdown of political martial arts. And we will go to political, figurative Mortal Kombat, okay? For the honor of both of our family. So, Victor, this has to happen, okay? We have such similar names. You're Victor Shi. I'm Vindao, okay? It would be legendary. But of course, Victor Shi is terrified of this. I don't think Victor Shi's ever done a debate, in fairness. I don't even think it's oh, he's scared of me. I think just Victor Shi in general just does not speak to anyone. I see how he does his Twitter feed. I mean, he literally just tweets and logs off, and his show, he only interviews like random liberal people to, oh wait, here is Trump. There we go. Donald Trump is here. Okay, folks. Well, I'll shut up. Actually, I'm not going to shut up yet because the song is copyrighted. So we will tune into the audio feed after he comes on. But as you can imagine, God Bless the USA is playing. There he is in Alabama. Which is, so there he is. I think, you know, what's interesting is I wonder how Trump's going to do against DeSantis in some of these hardcore southern states, right? Because I think in Florida, I actually think Donald Trump's going to win Florida. And people are like, how's that the case? So I think it's a matter of temperament, right? Florida is kind of a new right, part of the Trump realignment itself. So it's very hard. It's very, you know, inclined towards Trump. But I'm curious how he does it in Georgia and a state like Alabama. So honestly, who knows? I actually think in some ways the Deep South may be the hardest thing for Trump to crack, ironically, in the primary, because you have more so kind of a GOP establishment there, right? A GOP internalized machine. Whereas in a state like Michigan, they don't like the Republicans, they like Trump. But in a state like Georgia, for instance, they don't like Trump, they like the Republicans. I'm not sure how it is in Alabama, to tell you the truth. I don't know how strong the GOP machine is there. I know the governor there, Kay Ivey, is you know, kind of lame, and Katie Britt is obviously kind of mediocre and will not endorse Trump. But anyways, I'm curious about that. So it's interesting to see Trump campaigning in the Deep South. I actually think it's one of the more important regions. But let's see if the music is still playing here. Okay, it still is. All right. As you can imagine, applause is rounding. And let's see. Pretty big crowd. Because I if I'm not mistaken, this is a private event, but I guess it's not surprising that the Alabama GOP is pretty big GOP, right? I mean, it should be. It better be, right? But anyways, there they are. Let's see. All right, music's still playing. Sorry, gotta wait till the music stops playing. I'm not trying to get copywritten here. All right, let's see. Is it done? All right, almost done. Almost done. Almost done. There we are, folks.
Well, I want to thank you, and it's great to be back in Alabama with so many proud American patriots who stand for God, family, and country. That's what you stand for.
Real.
I want to thank Governor Kay Ivey for being with us tonight, and the great Kay. You look great, Kay. I'm not surprised. Doing a good job.
You look
too.
great,
We appreciate
Kay.
it very much. Thank you.
So true.
And also Chairman John Wall. He broke all sorts of records tonight. They broke the attendance and the fundraising records. They broke every record in the book. So John, really good job. Please sit down. We're going to be here for a little while, right? Sit down. Thank you very much. But John's been a friend really from the beginning, and today I'm also greatly honored to receive the endorsements of so many outstanding Alabama leaders. We have just about all of them that we were looking for. They've been warriors with me, and they know how we fight, and they know how to fight, and they know that we win. Most of whom, though, are with us tonight, including your great senator who just introduced me, Tommy Tuberville. What a great man. He's strong, he's smart, he's loyal.
Football man.
And he's truly a fantastic guy, and he's my friend, and we love Tommy. Treat him good. You have one of the really, thank you. We have one of the great ones there. Representatives Jerry Carl, Barry Moore, Mike Rogers, Robert Adderholt, Dale Strong, and Gary Palmer. These are warriors. Gary's feeling better now. He had a little problem with the back, but he's feeling good, and he wanted to be here, and I appreciate it.
Yeah,
but these
the
are
Brandon
fantastic
back,
people.
but it did not succeed.
Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth, thank you, Will, very much for being with us. Doing a great job. Agriculture Commissioner Rick Pate. Rick, thank you very much. Public Service Commission President Twinkle Cavanaugh. I love that name, Twinkle. Thank you very
His
much.
name's Twinkle?
Thanks.
That's
Public
like a boy
Service
named
Commissioners Jeremy Oden and Chip Beaker. And I really appreciate you and being here. And Cliff Sims, thanks for doing a fantastic job, Cliff. I'd also like to recognize Alabama Secretary of State Wes Allen, who's here. Wes, thank you. Thank you, Wes. State Senator Gerald Allen. Senator, thank you very much. Friends of mine, Ambassador Lindy Blanchard and her great husband, John. Thank you very much. A wonderful job. A wonderful, wonderful job as ambassador. A man who's just been incredible. What a voice he's got and what a wife he's got. His wife is named Kim, and his name is Lee Greenwood, and he sings that beautiful song.
Lee Greenwood's in attendance. Let's go.
We got to see Lee. Thank you. What a voice. What a voice. We don't know what it is, Lee, but it works, and they love it. And congratulations. Great career and great family. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Catherine Engelbrecht, a real incredible woman. Where's Catherine? And Greg Phillips, where are they? Truth to Vote. They have done a job. They found more fake votes than any people, I think, in this country, and they are fake with all of the things, and they have them on tape. And you go through a lot, and we appreciate it. And get ready. Get those votes ready. Just get them ready. Keep those tapes handy, because you're going to need them, and we're going to all need them as a country. Thank you very much. You do a fantastic job. Real patriots. We appreciate it. 8 years ago this month, we held one of the very first rallies of the 2016 campaign right here in Alabama. Together, we launched the greatest political movement in the history of our country, and now with the help of Alabama patriots, oh, we love Alabama, won it by 45 points.
Rookie numbers.
But Alabama patriots like we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it even bigger and better than 2016. You know, I don't know if you know, we got a hell of a lot more votes in 2020 than we did in 2016. Millions and millions of more votes. But 2016 was very, very special, and we taught people a lot, and they taught us a lot, frankly. But this state has been with us right from the beginning, Kay, I have to say, right from the beginning. And we will completely finish the job. We are going to do something that's going to be so incredible. On Election Day 2024, we're going to evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House. We're going to expel the criminals and thugs from the halls of power in Washington, D.C., and we are going to make America great again.
Real.
From the beginning of our movement, it's really been a true force in American politics that's dared to stand up. It's an incredible thing. We dared to stand up to the corrupt political establishment. That hasn't happened. That's why we have such difficulty, because they just can't stand us. But they're getting smaller and smaller. They're getting weaker and weaker, and we have to go on and we have to win some battles. And I think you're seeing that we're winning a lot. We're going to have a tremendous election. The poll numbers are the highest we've ever had. And people are very upset out there, angry, upset. They don't like what's happening to our country, because our country is going to hell. Going to hell. We said no to open borders, no to globalist trade deals, no to endless wars, and no to the godless values of the communist left. That's what they are. They skipped socialism. Remember, I used to say, this will not be a socialist country, and I was right. They skipped that station. We always put America first. In response, our enemies unleashed an army of rabid left-wing lawyers, and really corrupt Marxist prosecutors. These are dishonest people, bad people, deranged government agents and rogue intelligence officers to try and stop our movement. Remember the 51 intelligence officials that lied about the laptop? They said, oh, the laptop, Russia disinformation. No, they all lied. 51 of them lied. And it would have made a difference of about 11 points in the election, according to the pollsters. They lied. As an example, every one of these many fake charges filed against me by the corrupt Biden DOJ could have been filed 2.5 years ago. They didn't want to do it 2.5 years ago. They wanted to wait, and they did wait. They waited right to the middle of an election, and they
wanted
waited
to see if
until
he
I
would run,
became
too.
the dominant force in the polls, because we're dominating everybody, including Biden in the polls. And then they filed them all, every one of them, all at essentially one time, including local DAs and AGs and even other cases right in the middle of the campaign, where we're leading by so much, and it's not going to make any impact, because every time they file an indictment, we go way up in the polls. We need one more indictment to close out this election. One more indictment, and this election is closed out. Nobody has even a chance. We've already defeated the Republicans. They're at 2 and 3 and 1. You know, they all want me to go, onto the debate stage. And I say, well, if we're at 71 and they're at 0, 1, 2, 3, some of them are at 4 or 5, I don't know. Does it really make a lot of sense? It doesn't really. I love to debate, but, you know, sometimes you don't want to be a fool. You want a smart president. You don't want a stupid president.
Right.
But, you know, the radical left, what they say is, oh, we want Trump. That's only because we're leading in the polls, because they're a party of disinformation, misinformation, a big party of disinformation. The person they don't want is Trump. We beat them by so much last time. We beat them with crooked Hillary. They've never recovered from that. That's why the hatred is so great. But remember this, if somebody else were leading this banner, they'd be attacked with false stories also. They'd be attacked with the Russia hoax and the fake dossiers and all of the crazy things that these people do. They're lunatics. And the question is, I don't believe they'd be able to handle it, because you got to be very different. I'm not going to go beyond that, but you got to be very different to be very orange. Do what we did. In 4 years, we had one of the most successful
That's DeSantis' problem. He's not orange enough.
In history, with the tax cuts and the rebuilding of our military, the greatest regulation cuts in history. And we didn't get involved in any wars. We brought our people back home. We defeated ISIS, all of the things that we did. The fact is that it's not fair, and it's probably not legal what they're doing. They want to interfere in my campaign. They want to interfere in the elections. A commonly used tactic in third world countries. That's where this tactic comes, third world. Fourth world, fifth world countries.
America is a sixth world country
that our country's never seen. The fake charges put forth in their sham indictment are an outrageous criminalization of political speech. That's all it is. You make a statement, oh, we have to indict him because he said we were dishonest. Let's indict him. They're trying to make it illegal to question the results of a bad election. It was a very bad election. Everybody knows that. But only a party that cheats in elections would try to make it illegal, because if you have nothing to hide, why would you do that? And why would you be afraid to have those results come out? If you can't challenge a rigged election, or if you don't have borders, then in actuality, you really don't have a country. We don't have borders. Millions and millions of people are pouring through our borders like an open wound, like a sieve. We're not the ones trying to undermine American democracy. We are the ones fighting to save our democracy. We're fighting to save our democracy. So this ridiculous indictment against us, it's not a legal case. It's an act of desperation by a failed and disgraced crooked Joe Biden and his radical left thugs to preserve their grip on power. They want to do anything they can to preserve it, and we are in their way because we want to bring our country back. Our country has never been so bad. I don't think it's ever been in this position so bad. And we have a very dangerous situation because we have other countries with nuclear weapons, and the weaponry is so powerful. And we have a man that he can't put together two sentences, and he's in charge of whether or not we have a nuclear war. And I don't like that, and you don't like that either. Biden and his protectors know he cannot win this race any other way, so now they're trying something that hasn't been tried in this country, election interference. They rigged the presidential election of 2020. We're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. As the nation's top legal scholars have stated, the Biden administration's charges are a legal and constitutional travesty. Jonathan Turley, great guy, highly, highly respected, said this is a free speech killing indictment. Killing free speech, that's what it is. And referring to the deranged Jack Smith, he's not only going to have to just bulldoze through the First Amendment, he's going to have to bulldoze through a line of cases by the Supreme Court of the United States. In other words, this is an absolute case of prosecutorial misconduct. Andy McCarthy, highly respected, said this: to indict on such a theory in a manner that quite willfully intrudes into a presidential election is worse than irresponsible. The editors at the National Review wrote, this Trump indictment should not stand. Should not stand. It's a terrible thing they're doing to our country. The only civil rights that have been violated in this matter are my civil rights and those of the countless people that Biden and the communists have been persecuting. And they are communists, and they're Marxists, and they're people that don't get it. They get it. They're vicious and they're smart, but we're smarter and we're tougher than they are, and we're going to take it back. And we have no choice, because otherwise we're not going to have a country left. The reason this is happening is simple. Joe Biden is the most incompetent and, at the same time, most corrupt president in the history of the United States. The Biden crime family was taking in money from China, Ukraine, Russia, and so many other countries. And now every time more Biden corruption is exposed, his henchmen indict me because they want to knock out the bad publicity. Do you ever see? Whenever they have something big happening, they put another indictment or a special indictment. It's called a cover-up. And what they do is illegal and horrible. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a truly great badge of honor, because I'm being indicted for you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Lee Greenwood. Never forget, our enemies want to stop us because we are the ones and the only ones that are able to stop them. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. In the end, they're not after me, they're after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never leave. I will never let them do that. And I promise you this, if you put me back in the White House, their reign will be over, and America will be a free nation once again. We're not a free nation.
We're not.
We don't have a free press.
We don't.
We have a corrupt press. They're corrupt. When I came out with the term many years ago, fake news, now, I mean, honestly, it's just not a strong enough term. It's been a brilliant term, but it's not a strong enough. These are corrupt people. They don't want to even report. I mean, you have Biden got $10.2 million. You don't even read it in the newspaper. You don't see it on the news. They don't want to talk about it. These people are corrupt. From the first day in office, I will appoint a special prosecutor to study each and every one of the many claims being brought forth by Congress concerning all of the crooked acts, including bribes from China and many other foreign countries that go into the coffers and go straight into the coffers of the Biden crime family. It is a crime family. He's a corrupt person. It's often said that Republicans don't fight hard enough, and I agree with that. We need more fighters like Tommy and others. We have some good fighters, but we don't have enough of them. We have some bad ones, too. But they never said that about Trump, and I think it's one of the reasons that you like me. It's one of the reasons that I like you, and it's one of the reasons I like Alabama, because you're fighters.
Sweet home.
And you'll see that on the very first day of my presidency. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn, and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. In the most recent Rasmussen poll, we are up by 44 points, with Trump at 57%, Ron DeSanctimonious at 13%, and the rest of them are very low. Even last week's New York Times poll has me up by 37 points. 37, that's a lot. What do you think, Kay? It's hard to blow a 37. We're going to be we will not play prevent defense. Is that okay? They're the football players and the great people, and you are a great football state. We know all about prevent defense. You hold the team scoreless for almost 4 quarters. You just have to do it one more time. And the coach goes, prevent. Touchdown, touchdown. We don't play prevent. We will fight, and we will fight hard.
We need to blitz.
We're at a level
we need to engage aid as a party.
We have the highest poll numbers we've ever had, and that's because the people of our country are disgusted with what's happening. We're dominating crooked Joe Biden in the general election. The Harvard-Harris poll, not a good poll for me ever, has me way up and leading by 5, 6, and 7 points, with Trump up 18 points among independents. You know, you keep hearing about independents. How is he going to do with the independents? You know, independents like to have great walls, and they want to have, you know, we built almost 500 miles of wall, and then we were going to build another 200, and we had Mexico come in and give us 28,000 soldiers free of charge. You know, they say, oh, did you charge Mexico? I told the president, we need 28,000 soldiers while the wall is being built. And he looked at me, he said, no, we cannot, 28,000. He thought I was crazy. I said, no, you will give it. We need 28,000 soldiers. And he said, well, you know what? You're going to have to make a presentation. I said, you send whoever you want. And I said that to his top representatives. We want them, and we want them fast. We want them by Monday morning, 28,000. They said, no, we will not do that. I said, yes, you will. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. And the State Department people thought that I was a little crazy. They said, you know, this guy's asking for stuff. We've been after this for many years, like stay in Mexico. I got that, too. I said, give me to the State Department. A woman, very good, but she never won anything because Mexico would give her nothing. She worked on Mexico for 25 years. Good woman, but never got anything. I said, give me a top 10 list. Give me the list I want. And I see my great Mike Lindell. By the way, he's the single greatest advertiser in history. I don't know what the hell, I don't know how much money you can make with pillows. You know, if it was oil, I understand. I don't understand the pillow stuff, but I'll tell you, he's He's a true patriot. I see him sitting right there, and he loves it. How many rallies have you come to?
I need a MyPillow code.
50
Chad.
or 70 or something?
I think Vince needs a
Mike
MyPillow
is a great
code.
guy.
Okay?
Go buy his pillows or his slippers
This
or
will
his
take
towels,
my
whatever
pillow
the hell
to
you
its
want, just
newest
buy it.
heights. We need this.
But they said to me, they said, no, we will not do it. I said, yes, you will. Here's the story. We're going to put a tariff on your cars and all the other things you're selling into the United States of America where you're making a fortune of 25%. That's billions and billions of dollars. And if you don't give us those soldiers, by Monday morning, I'm putting that tariff on and I'm signing it right now, right in front of you. Here it is. I'm signing it. I signed it. Sir, we'd like to have a 5-minute pause. May I make a phone call? So he went and called, I assume, the president of the country. Came back 5 minutes later. Now, he was saying, absolutely we wouldn't give. Now he goes, sir, it would be our great honor to give you 28,000 soldiers to protect your border. We think that's very, and it would be our great honor to create a policy of stay in Mexico. You know, they used to stay in our country. That was the end of it. We wanted to.
We should make them militarized after the cartel,
too. To come in maybe to our country after they've been checked out. So we had hundreds of thousands of people staying in Mexico, right on the other side of the wall that we built. And worked out very well. We had a very good relationship, actually, with the president of Mexico. He's a socialist, but that you can't have everything, but we had a very good relationship. But we got everything. We got so many other things, literally with phone calls. You know the story in France where they were going to charge us 25%, they were going to charge us a tremendous amount for any company doing business in France. They were going to charge us a lot of money, these companies. I said, you can't do it. I gave it to my people. I said, tell them I can't do it. They came back a week later. Well, they won't listen to us. They're going to do it. It's almost too late. I think it's being passed. So I called up Emmanuel Macron. I said, Emmanuel, you're not going to charge 25% to our companies doing business in France. What the hell do they need France for anyway? You're not going to do it. He said, oh, Donald, it is too late. I'm sorry. I said, well, I'll tell you what's too late. On Monday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm putting a 100% tariff tax on your wine and champagne that comes into the United States. That takes place at 7 o'clock on Monday morning. This was a Friday. So you let me know within the next half hour what's going to happen. But we are putting a tax on it. I've just signed the bill. And it's going to go into an effect in 2 days. And he called me back about 2 minutes later. He said, Donald, we have decided not to put the 25% tax on. We have decided. Now, that's the good news. The bad news, as soon as Biden got in, they put all sorts of bad things in. And nobody calls him. Do you think Biden calls him and says, by the way, you're not going to put that tax on? You think that happens? I don't think so. He doesn't know what the hell you're talking about.
Facts.
And in the big new premise poll, we're beating Biden by 5 points, with the sanctimonious losing to Biden 33-38. The sanctimonious is
nobody talks about this.
Not doing a good job. You know,
but
you
it's
wonder
true.
why I don't like him. Because I got him elected. He was losing badly. He was down many, many points, I think like 38 or 40 or some ridiculous number. He actually talks about it in the old days. And he came to my office, tears in his eyes, saying, please, can I have your endorsement? I said, listen, you're so far down, to a man named Adam Putnam, who was the Secretary of Agriculture, which is a big deal in Florida. He was down by many, many, many points. Many points. It was over. I said, if I brought back George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, you don't have a chance. He said, sir, I'm telling you, if you endorse me, I'll win. So I remember that I saw him on television a couple of times.
He was a mediocre candidate. People forget that.
And impeachment hoax number
and he still
2,
kind of is.
And fighting for me a little bit. He was no Jim Jordan. He was no, some of the great guys we have. But he was fighting for me a little bit. Always on television. I said, and I didn't know Adam Putnam, unfortunately, for him. So I endorsed Ron DeSanctimonious, and he went like a rocket ship. And he took this massive lead immediately, like it took one night. And he went from being way, way down to being way, way up. He ended up winning the primary in a landslide a very short time later. But then he couldn't have won the general because he was running against the guy Gilliam. Remember the guy who was going to be the star of the Democrats? African-American man. A very
and Trump bailed him
man.
out.
Turned out to be a crack addict, but we don't have to mention that. But he was the hottest one. Him and Stacey Abrams were the two hottest politicians in the Democrat Party. He was going to be the next president, they said. He's going to be the next. First, he's going to be governor. And DeSanctimonious comes up to me. I can't beat him. There's no way. I said, look, we'll do some rallies. Would you? Could you do 3? I said, 3 is a lot. But I ended up doing 3 rallies for him. And they were big. They had thousands and thousands and thousands of people. You know about our rally. We had, in your little area a little while ago, we had a rally, 68,000 people. We broke Elvis's record, right? So I did these rallies for him, and he ended up winning. He won. It was a big upset. He ended up winning. And then 3 years later, they said, are you going to run for president against the former president? And he said, I have no comment. He said, he has no comment. That means he's running. That son of a bitch, he's running.
I try to tell people, by the way.
We're not going to take that. And I started hitting him, and he has been like,
yo, what's up, Josie?
So with those people, Lee Greenwood, when they ask, we have to do a song about this, I think, Lee, but when they ask me whether or not I like him, I'm not a big fan of his. Not a big fan. I like loyalty. You know, they told me that loyalty doesn't matter in politics. Some of my geniuses right backstage right now, sir, don't tell that story because loyalty doesn't matter in politics. I said, I think it does. It turned out that I was right because he has dropped like a rock, and hopefully he'll stay there. I think he will. They said, what's the problem with him? I said, he's got no personality, which actually is true. It's good. Kay, in politics, you need a personality. Right? We learned a long time ago you need a little personality. When asked who's the best to improve the economy, it's Trump at 54, DeSantis at about 11. Who's the best in New Hampshire? 55 to 11. In South Carolina, 59 to 12. In Nevada, 65 to 10. It's going to be tough to blow it, but I don't want to say it. Where's wood? I need wood. Where is wood? I found wood. Otherwise, I'd walk off the stage to find a piece. I want to knock on wood. I don't like to talk this way. All the rest are in very low numbers, very low single digits. But despite the demented prosecution of our movement by our corrupt and highly partisan Department of Injustice and deranged Jack Smith, doesn't he look deranged? You see the picture with the purple robe? He's a deranged human being. We're getting stronger by the day. Somebody said, you should treat him nicer. Maybe he'd be nice. Let me tell you, this guy is a lost soul. Bad guy. Don't get nicer. He's a deranged, sick person. Think of what we already achieved in this incredible 4 years. And we had to go through Russia. We had to go through the Mueller report, which after 2.5 years said no collusion, right? No collusion, it said, with Russia. We had to go through all those phony FISA things that were signed so badly. We had to go through a lot. All hoaxes and scams, and it's not changed at all. And they're the ones that have to be investigated, and those elections have to be investigated because we have to have those honorable elections in our country. We delivered the largest tax cuts and regulatory cuts in the history of America. And likewise, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. There's never been an economy like that. We achieved energy independence, and we're soon going to have energy dominance for the first time in 78 years. We appointed over 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices, and look what they just gave us with colleges. You actually, if you get good marks, you could actually get in.
Thank you, Trump.
You don't have to take second fiddle to somebody that didn't get good marks. And last year, those justices ruled on a thing called Roe v. Wade. They ended it, and nobody thought that was possible. And I have to tell you, from the Republican and conservative standpoint, you have to learn how to talk about pro-life. You have to learn how to talk about that decision because you don't know how to talk about it. Pro-lifers have a tremendous power now with that termination to negotiate. They had none. They didn't have any before that ruling. They had no power whatsoever. They could kill babies at any time they wanted, including after what we would call birth. They could kill babies. Now they have tremendous power to negotiate because they don't have Roe v. Wade. This moves the issue back to the states where all legal scholars felt it should be. out of the federal government and back to the states. That's a big deal. On both sides, they felt it should be. Now, like President Ronald Reagan before me, I support the 3 exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. And I will say that
I don't, but
in terms of running, you have to go with your heart. You have to go with what you want. But the 3 exceptions to me are very important. And the 3 exceptions, I think, to a large portion of the people on this issue are very important. Very, very important. Remember, the Democrats are the radicals on this issue, and you have to remember that.
That is the right way to frame it.
Issue. The Democrats are the radicals because they're willing to kill babies in their 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th month and even after birth. Remember the governor of Virginia, that whack job who thought he was Michael Jackson, remember? He said, "Let's see you moonwalk, governor," and his wife saved him. Because he would have moonwalked and it wouldn't have been pretty. He was ready to do it. It would not have been good. But he said, yes, the baby's born, and then we sit down and we talk to the mother, and we decide whether or not we essentially terminate the baby's life. This is a baby born. And they have that too. Numerous states that you can kill the baby after birth. So they're the extremists, not us. You have to fight that issue differently. A lot of Republicans, a lot of House members, they weren't able to talk about the issue. They didn't know how. They didn't say that they were the radicals, that they were the extremists. They're the extremists. They didn't say that it gave us tremendous power to negotiate. And we now have that tremendous power. They have to talk about it right. And it'll be your issue, not their issue. I fully rebuilt the U.S. military, created Space Force, and put the U.S. Space Command in Alabama, which Biden just moved the hell out of your state.
Typical Brandon
but
moment.
Maybe that's not going to be the end of that story. We defeated ISIS and brought our troops back home. Yeah, we moved the whole thing into Alabama, and they just announced they're going to take it out of your state. So you'll remember that. And I was the first president in decades who didn't start a war. We got people out of wars. We defeated ISIS. We defeated 100% of the ISIS caliphate. But all of that was only the beginning. Here's just some of the agenda that I will immediately implement when we become the 47th president of the United States. And it's we, not I.
Yes.
I will totally obliterate the deep state. It's a sick, bad group of people. I will say no to 87,000 IRS agents who want to take your money and destroy your lives. I will end the disaster known as Bidenomics, which shall henceforth be defined as inflation, submission, and failure. We will turn around our economy very, very quickly. I will cancel every Biden regulation that's harming Alabama workers and workers all over the United States. One of the first things that I will do to help the great people of Alabama is to approve a 6-lane I-65 from Huntsville to Mobile. I heard Huntsville to Mobile.
They don't already have that?
And I heard, you know, some of your great congressmen who I introduced.
I've been to Mobile. Let's go.
I introduced all of your congressmen, everyone have endorsed me. It's such an honor. But I said, what can I do for this great state? You can make a 6-laner. Does everyone agree that's a big deal? Yeah? Okay. We'll get that done on the first day, okay? First day.
Let's go.
I'll bring down the cost of energy, and we will become energy independent and even energy dominant, just as we were 3 years ago. We were going to supply all of the energy to Europe. Oil and gas, we were going to make so much money, then we were going to start paying down debt. You ever look at the balance sheet of Saudi Arabia? We have more oil than they do. We have more oil than Russia has. I got Anwar approved. No president could get that done. Ronald Reagan tried. They all tried. I got it done. The first thing that Biden did is he ended it. Anwar in Alaska, probably the largest site for oil anywhere in the world. I will reverse every one of Biden's globalist economic betrayals to once again put America first and put Alabama first. We're going to put Alabama first where it should be.
Let's go.
And unlike Ron DeSanctimonious, who voted to gut Medicare, can you believe that? And also voted 3 times to decimate a thing called Social Security, and also to raise the retirement age on Social Security all the way up to 70. I mean, you earned that. There are many other things we can cut. We can do a lot of things that you won't be feeling, but you can't play with Social Security and Medicare. But we will always protect Medicare and Social Security for our great seniors. Not going to touch it. And you saw that because we didn't touch it. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office shortly after we win the presidency, because we are going to win it, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I know them both very well. They will settle. Would have never, ever happened. It will be done very, very quickly. I'm the only candidate who can make this promise. I will prevent World War III. And don't kid yourself, we're a lot closer to it than you think. A lot closer. And that would be a war like no other, because we wouldn't have army tanks going back and forth shooting. They have nuclear. The levels of power are not to be believed. To stop the destruction of our wealth, I will impose a border tariff on all foreign-made goods. You just want to sell into our country, you're going to have to pay for that. That's a great privilege that we do that. We get hurt so badly with trade. I made so many great trade deals, including with Japan and South Korea, and by the way, China, for our farmers and manufacturers, $50 billion a year. I don't even talk about that because of what they did with COVID. I will also pass what we call the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. In other words, if China or any other country makes us pay a 100% or 200% tariff, we will make them pay a reciprocal tariff of 100% or 200% right back. And one of two things will happen. They'll end their tariff, which in most cases will happen, or we'll take in a lot of money, and so will they, but we'll take in a lot of money. Can you imagine? They charge us 100% tariffs and 200% tariffs, and for the same product, we charge them nothing. And we were all set to get that done and approved, and then COVID came in, and we had other things to do, but we're going to get that done. Reciprocal. It's got to be reciprocal. We will gain total independence from China, and I will hold the Chinese Communist Party accountable for unleashing the China virus upon the world. You know, it's estimated they can't pay it. Nobody can pay it. $60 trillion in damages, and the death, the millions and millions of people all over the world, the damage they did. And I always said it came from the Wuhan lab, and it did. It came from the Wuhan lab. They said the other day, Trump was right about that one, too. Trump was right about everything, actually. I will immediately terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration. What's happening on our border? What's happening on our border is unthinkable. We had the safest border in the history of our country, and now we have the most unsafe border, I think, anywhere in the world. There's never been anything like it. No third world country would have a border like that. They'd fight people with sticks
they
and
actually
stones
enforce
if they
theirs
had to.
better.
Under Biden, other countries are emptying out their prisons, insane asylums, and mental institutions, and dumping everyone, including terrorists, into the United States of America. Many terrorists are coming in. Their prisons are emptying out all over the world, not just the 3 or 4 countries that we consider more or less neighbors. Guatemala. No, Guatemala's rough. Very small prison population. El Salvador, very small. Mexico, very small. They're emptying them out. There was a psychiatrist who's been at a certain South American country for many years running a big mental institution, and they showed him sitting in the institution reading a newspaper, and they were interviewing him. He said, how are you doing? He said, I have nothing to do. We had many, many mental patients, people very, very sick, very ill, and they're no longer here. And the reporter said, where are they? They've all been brought into the United States of America. They've been dumped into the United States of America. How stupid are we? How stupid are we? And they're emptying out those institutions, and they're emptying out all of their prisons and all of their jails, and they're coming in here, and we're going to get them out of this country fast. We're going to get them out so fast. It's a very bad situation. We're going to be paying a price for that. for a long time. Who could want that? Who could want it? Who could want it? They are either very stupid, which they're not. You can't cheat on elections like that and be stupid. They're either very stupid or, in the alternative, they truly hate our country.
Leave a like on the stream, by the way.
I believe they truly hate our country. When I'm back in the White House, following the Eisenhower model, we will use all necessary state, local, federal, and military resources to carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history.
Let's go.
And we have no choice. Some people won't like that. We have no choice. No country can bear this, and I believe the real number is $15 million. I looked, 15 million people. I looked the other day on television 2 days ago. I saw thousands and thousands and thousands of people on Madison Avenue in New York. They are illegal immigrants. And I looked and I said, this city cannot survive like that. But all of our cities are going through it. And even before that, the Democrats are doing such a bad job of running our cities. They're running them into the ground. The crime is setting records. We have numbers that are up 250 and 300% from just a few years ago. The laws are being broken. The prosecutors go after Trump. Let's go after Trump. But if somebody murders somebody, they know they're there and they don't even bother picking them up.
Yep.
Our country is sick. It's sick, and we have to change it, and we're going to change it fast. I will use Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children to their families and their home countries immediately. And we will restore the Trump travel ban to keep radical Islamic terrorists out of our country, as I did with great success. You saw that for 4 years. We need
a new one, though. New countries.
To stop the Marxist prosecutors who release rapists and murderers while persecuting Republicans,
California
conservatives, and people of faith. And they do that. I'll tell you, they're really after the Catholics. They are after the Catholic Church. It's incredible. I don't know how many Catholics are in, but they are after the Catholic Church. They're after parents, school boards. It's unbelievable. I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist in reverse enforcement of the law. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. It's unbelievable. And my administration, and we did many of these things, many of these things were put back into effect because many of these things were done. My administration will strictly enforce this summer's Supreme Court decision to move our country forward with a merit-based system of education. Isn't that a nice system of education? Merit-based. Did you ever think you were going to see that? Supreme Court upheld merit-based. We didn't have merit-based. In addition, I will return power to the parents of our country. Who would have thought we would have ever had to say that? Can you imagine that? We will return power to parents. Of course you want to return the power, especially when it comes to schools. You will have your power back. I will close the Department of Education and move all education back to the states where it belongs. We were going to do that. We were ready. And then we had the COVID. And think of it. We're at the bottom of every list. We spend more money per pupil, sometimes 2 and 3 times what other countries that are very top on the list spend. But we spend more money on education per pupil by far than any other country. And yet we're at the bottom of all the lists. It's terrible. So we're going to move it back so that, Kay, you can handle it. Can you handle it? Are you okay with that? Good. Lieutenant Governor, you're going to help her out a little bit? Yes. Good. We're going to move it back to the states because in Alabama, you'll run a great system, and the states will run a great system. And if they don't, those people won't be around very long, but that's where it's going to be. The states are going to run education. By the way, the government will save massive amounts of money, and the states will do a phenomenal job. Some states will do unbelievably, some won't do as well, but it's more pinpointed, it's local, the parents are more involved, and it'll make the biggest difference. It'll be the greatest thing ever to happen to education in the United States. And I will keep men out of women's sports. That's a biggie. That's a biggie. You see some of the records that are being broken? Weightlifting records are being shattered. Records that stood for 18 years are being shattered. It's a disgrace, and it's a very bad thing and very demeaning to women. We're going to end that immediately. I will sign a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. Now,
Let's go.
think of that. Child sexual mutilation. Could you imagine 15 years ago saying, we're going to stop child sexual mutilation? That you even have to say a thing like that. It's not even believable, but we do, because we have a sick country, and in a way it's a sick world.
Yep.
And we're going to stop it. We'll be the first. We're going to stop it. We're going to stop it cold. I will also restore the Trump ban on transgender in the military. We had a ban. We had a ban, and the ban was immediately lifted like 24 hours after this incompetent fool got elected. Just as I did for 4 years, I will fully uphold the Second Amendment. Second Amendment, your guns are going to be protected. And I will fully secure our elections. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots and voter ID. Very simple. But until then, Republicans must compete. We must win. We have to compete and we have to win. But we're going to get back to the old system. You know, France had 36 million votes fairly recently. They had an election. They had mail-in ballots for a long period of time, and they realized they were all rigged. It was all rigged. So they went back to paper ballots. They had 36 million votes. It was all over by 10 o'clock in the evening. They had a winner. They had a loser. Everybody went home, and a lot of people were happy, and a lot of people weren't, but there was no protest. There was no anything. They felt there was a fair election, and they feel very happy with what they did. This is what
Red Eagle in
we
chat.
must do to restore our country to greatness. The USA is a mess. Our economy is crashing. Inflation is out of control. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea have formed together as a menacing and destructive coalition, a truly destructive and dangerous coalition. Our currency is crashing and will soon no longer be the world standard based on what's happening right now. And that'll be the greatest defeat for our country in 200 years if we lose the world standard on currency.
True.
It won't happen with me, not even a little bit of a chance. Just
why you
like
need to protect
Russia
your
would never
retirement
have
with noble
invaded
gold.
Ukraine, and China would not be even thinking about going into Taiwan, not even thinking about it. And I would talk to President Xi, and I would talk to President Putin. Zero chance. They knew you can't do that. And we would have left Afghanistan with dignity and strength instead of our greatest embarrassment in all of history. Leaving behind $85 billion worth of the best, most beautiful military equipment that I bought. The best equipment. 13 dead soldiers, many horrifically wounded. American citizens are still there. Nobody even knows what's happening with them. If you took the 5 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as crooked Joe Biden and the Biden administration have done. He's a crooked guy. Crooked guy. You know, I never hit him this hard. If you followed me, and many of you have, I never hit him that hard because I had to respect the office of the president, the office of the presidency. And I did. I had great respect. So I'd talk as a politician would talk about somebody, but I never hit him this hard. But when they indicted their political opponent, and they did that, I said, now the gloves are off. He's a crooked, incompetent thief. And he shouldn't be allowed to be the president. And the Republicans better get tough, and they better get smart, because most of them look like a bunch of weak jerks right now. And you got to get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. So I spoke much differently prior to that happening. And when it actually first happened, I said, no, I don't believe that. That can't be, especially these bogus charges. Presidential Records Act. I come under the Presidential Records Act. And then challenging an election. I mean, if you challenge an election, Hillary Clinton has been challenging, even though at 3 o'clock in the morning she said, you won. But then she went back to challenging it to this day. Stacey Abrams challenges it.
Stacey Abrams.
Many congressmen have challenged it over the years. Many senators have challenged it.
Yes.
If you take a look at
we need to send Stacey Abrams to fat camp.
Has challenged it, but I think most of them voted for Trump. You know, a lot of them were saying, this Trump, and then they
That's
say,
her sentence.
if I vote for him, I'm going to pay about 1/3 the taxes. I think I'm going to vote for Trump, but let's not talk about it. We did actually very well in Beverly Hills. Sort of amazing. But we are a failing nation. We are a nation in decline. And now these radical left lunatics want to interfere with our elections by using law enforcement, the DOJ and the FBI. It's totally corrupt, and we can't let it happen to our country. 2024 is our final battle. It's our final and biggest battle ever. With you at my side, we will demolish that horrible deep state. We will expel the warmongers, the fools from our government. We will drive out the globalists, and we will cast out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and throw off the sick political class that hates our country, absolutely hates our country. We will rout the fake news media. We will defeat crooked Joe Biden, and we will drain the swamp once and for all. We will get that done, and it'll go quickly. The great silent majority is rising like never before, and under our leadership, the forgotten man and woman will be forgotten no longer. And I said that in 2016, and we were right. But then they took that beautiful, beautiful right away from you. With your help, your love, and your vote, we will make America great again, greater than ever before. Thank you very much, Alabama, and God bless you all. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, folks. Well, I don't want to get copyrighted on the audio, but there was Donald Trump's speech in response to the Alabama GOP, I should say, addressing the Alabama GOP in response following, this is his first speech since the arraignment over in DC, which I honestly wish he would have talked about a little bit more, but then again, it's not a rally, it's kind of a private GOP dinner, so I think he's trying to win delegates and win votes there. But anyways, folks, we will now move on to our Q&A and Super Chat portion, so feel free to send in any Super Chats, questions, comments you got. We will do that. It's Friday night, so we'll do that for like 20-30 minutes and we'll call it a stream. But yeah, that's us wrapping up the Trump speech. Let me say this. There's a lot of people out there who, like, all I hear is, well, Donald Trump's not a candidate of substance, right? And the election's all just about him and nothing about this or that. And maybe that's my criticism, actually, of the speeches. I feel like he should have talked more about the indictment that just happened. But from a policy perspective, I mean, we heard, let me remove this off the screen. We heard a lot of very good stuff there. He talked about education, talked about immigration, talks about breaking up the deep state, the transgender issue, the culture war stuff. Foreign policy, right? Kind of just went through the 2024 agenda there. And so to people who say Donald Trump's not a candidate of substance, I mean, yeah, I understand it. He doesn't sit down and do these nerdy policy briefs like, here's what we're going to do. But I heard a lot of substance, actually, in that speech. And another thing I want to bring up is, he kind of brought up this argument with DeSantis and some of the other candidates is the whole topic of electability. Of course, the line that I've been bombarded with ever since the start of this primary is Donald Trump is not electable. He's virtually guaranteed to lose the general election. But DeSantis is the more electable one, or this person or that person is the more electable one. I want to point out, just as a matter of fact, I'm not saying I necessarily trust polls. I didn't trust polls then. It would be hypocritical to trust them now. Polls have been off in both directions. But in terms of the polls, Donald Trump, forget the primary, in the general election, Donald Trump is polling better against Biden now than he was in 2020 or Hillary in 2016 at this current point in time in the primary. Okay? Again, you may write that off. You may say you don't trust polls. I don't really trust polls either. I'm not using that as a arrogant way to say we're guaranteed victory in the election. But it is something that is worth noting, is it not? I don't think that's totally insignificant, right? So I don't read that as, oh, we're guaranteed to win just because Trump's doing actually better than he has in past cycles. Again, that might be unbelievable to you. You may be like, Vince, there's no way. I don't see that. How could that possibly be true? I'm just the messenger here, okay? It is a matter of fact that generally speaking, you know, you look one poll, this poll, that poll, overall, on average, in terms of most of the polls, Trump's doing better at this point in time before a general election than he ever has, okay? So this idea that if the nominee is Trump, we can't win in 2024, I just don't buy it. Now, on the flip side, you know, Trump brings up a good argument, and I've brought this up before too, in regards to DeSantis. You know, we're very often told, you know, it's so obvious, you stupid Trump people, how can you not tell DeSantis is obviously more electable than Trump? And don't get me wrong, in some states, some suburban areas, I'll give you it's probably true. But a very important thing to bring up there is the issue of Social Security, right? As Trump brought up, DeSantis is on the record saying that stuff about Social Security, you know, and by the way, think whatever you will about Social Security. I fully understand him in principled agreement that Social Security does need to be reformed, but a lot of Republicans, and we saw this in the 2022 cycle, a lot of Republicans screwed them over by going out there and saying certain things about it, right? You saw this in Arizona, you saw this in a number of different states. And again, think what you will of Social Security, but it's just a matter of fact, right? Most of the potential Republican electorate is old, right? That's just the truth. They're either going to retire or they're already retired. It is political landmine, right? It is a political suicide to be anywhere on the record as a candidate. And don't say this is speculation, because you saw this in 2022 with a lot of the candidates, you remember, who were just on tape in a passing statement on some random interview, right, saying something about Social Security, and it royally screwed them over with independents, with the suburbanites, with the retirees, with all that stuff. And that's going to be a big problem, frankly, for Ron DeSantis. You know, an issue like that in Nevada, for instance, when he was congressman, he supported moving the nuclear waste, putting it in Yucca Mountain in Nevada, right? So you may say, oh, Vince, what's the big deal? Who's going to care about that? Well, you know, you see what Social Security can sometimes do to Republicans. You look at, you know, a state like that in Nevada. Nevada's going to be in play in 2024. We may have a better chance at Nevada than Arizona, all things considered. What's it going to do that he's on the record saying that, right? There's a lot of things. You want to bring up Trump this, Trump that. There's a lot of things about Ron DeSantis' past record, and not just Ron DeSantis, a lot of these just generic Republican candidates who you may look, oh, well, their personality is more reserved than Trump, so I guarantee they'll be more electable. But it's just not that simple. It's just not that simple, because when you go through the weeds of what certain attack ads are going to be, when you touch Social Security as a Republican in a general election nationally running for president, that is horrible politics, right? Trump can always go down as the guy as a Republican because he's never touched Social Security or threatened to touch Social Security, right? So that's a big advantage, actually, on him that is going to royally screw over DeSantis in a general election. And then little stuff like that in Nevada. DeSantis wanted to put nuclear waste in Nevada, and he supported that in Congress. Okay. If it's DeSantis versus Biden or DeSantis versus Newsom, what ad are they going to run over and over again in Nevada? Oh, Ron DeSantis wants to put nuclear waste in your state, right? Little things like that, I think some people need to pay attention to. They truly do, right? You may say, oh, but the personality. Sure, the personality is a big part of elections. I'm not denying that that's the case. There's a reason why I support Trump, but there are other things to consider, especially when you want to talk about the independents, the suburban voters, the older voters, right? Outside of the base, the more independent people. This type of stuff does matter. It truly does. So just something to think about. Anyways, let's take a look, folks, at what we got going on here in the chat. Again, we are open for Q&A, questions, and super chats. We love Tucker Carlson. Zin is not a sin. This is true. We love Tucker Carlson. All right. This is real. Tucker Carlson. Facts. He swear. You know, I've never tried it. But he swears by the fire blood of Zin. So this is real. We do love Tucker Carlson. Lizel says, why should we touch Social Security? Well, you know, I'll tell you what you should really say about it, because I do understand that Social Security is going to run out of money and it's not a sustainable system. It was never going to be sustainable. I would argue that FDR put it into place to basically hold politics hostage till the end of time and kind of force, kind of give an advantage to his own party and to kind of his own side till the end of time, because it's hard to touch. You know what I would say, though? You know what I would say? Here's what I would campaign on as a Republican. I'd say Social Security is running out of money. No problem. Let's fund it from the outside. Let's take all the welfare. This is what you do. See, this is what you do. Let's say, okay, we're going to reform the way we do this so that way we can fund it from the outside. So let's take all, because Social Security is supposed to pay for itself, right? But let's take all the welfare. Let's take all the foreign aid. Let's take all this other stuff, cut it, get rid of it. No more unemployment welfare nonsense, and put that into Social Security. And it's fiscally conservative too. I think that's how Republicans should campaign on the Social Security thing. But, you know, what is political suicide is saying we got to raise the retirement age, or, you know, we can't guarantee that people are going to get it, or this or that. That's total political suicide, and you simply cannot do that. Social Security has problems, but the elderly deserve to receive what they pay for. Well, I fully agree with that. The U.S. government needs to fulfill its promises. I think, though, that it should be optional going forward. That's what I think you should do. But, you know, of course, all the W-2s, they have to, you got to pay Social Security, payroll tax. As if Social Security for most people is enough to live on for the rest of their life anyway. You know. So I'm all in favor of abolishing the payroll tax. But, yeah, the people who pay it in should get out what they deserve. And I 100% believe that. But the Republicans who don't know how to touch this, I would say my thing would be, this is what I would say politically. I'd say we're not going to raise the retirement age. We're not going to not give people what they're owed. Instead, let's fund it from the outside. All this foreign aid that we're getting rid of, give it to the senior citizens. All the welfare nonsense, all the bureaucracy that we're going to slash, take that money and put it into the Social Security and Medicare fund. That's what I think you should do. See, this big-brained, okay? The galaxy brain political solution. This is true. Son of Tiamat for $2 says, Emperor Tucker Carlsberg. Thank you for the $2. Son of Tiamat. I appreciate it very much. Lizel says the elderly wouldn't be outraged if it became optional for people currently entering the workforce. Well, yeah, you know, it's true. You can't be the GOP, a party whose most voters are elderly or older people. And, you know, Lindsey Graham, for some reason, for instance, just has this obsession with talking about reforming Social Security. Meanwhile, it's quite hypocritical because he'll, on the one hand, say we need to fund more money to Ukraine, right? Let's keep funding Ukraine. But then he comes around and says we need to raise the retirement age and reform Social Security. It's ridiculous. I don't want to call it hypocrisy because I think it's beyond it's not hypocrisy, it's malice, right? The contempt for the people of this country to stand there and say that. At least if you're blanket fiscally conservative, you know, if you're a libertarian, Thomas Massey, whatever, at least you can say, well, I don't support any of this stuff. But to support, let's give more money to foreign countries. But the old people of this country, many of whom voted me for senator, you know, these people can't get what they deserve. That is, you know, who's surprised? It's Lindsey Graham, right? Who truly is surprised. Let's see. Your Geographic Scotsman says, again, guys, we're open for super chats. Hey, Vince Dow, just want to say, what's your opinion on the LGBTQ getting a new member, the furries? I'm 100% in favor of that because it's what's the difference? I think the point you need to establish, I'm totally in favor of that, because the point you need to establish is that this whole rainbow flag movement was always meant to descend, and by design, right? What is sexual liberation by design? Is always going to descend into furries, into PDF files, you know, the files, right? It's always meant to send into all of that. That's what happens when you declare that the natural attraction between a man and a woman is not kind of the norm, and anything can be the norm and anything can be normal. Well, of course, once you open up the alphabet, you're going to reach the whole alphabet, you know? It doesn't just stop at LGBT. you have opened up the whole alphabet of letters. So every letter is going to get represented. That's what happens. That's a natural consequence. So I'm actually entirely for that. I'm entirely for that. People may say, you know, and people say this a lot too. They say, we need to separate the LGB from the rest of it. I understand the argument. I really do. But I would make the argument that the rest of it, in many ways, are just kind of more extreme forms of the LG and B. Right? It all kind of stems from the same place. So I don't really buy the separate the LGB from the rest of it. Sure, the LGB are kind of the original, I guess you would say, kind of forms and whatever, but I think the T and the rest of the alphabet are really just extreme manifestations of the LG and B. So, you know, that's my stance on all that stuff. So Social Security was meant for people whose retirement ran out, not to replace retirement money. Well, this is true. This is true. And of course, I mean, think about it logically. We have this huge welfare state for old people, and you know, but the old people didn't have enough kids to sustain them. So you know, it was always going to be a broken system. But my whole thing is, you can't screw over the people who paid into it, especially as a Republican. Especially as a Republican. You know, if anything, the Democrats should be campaigning against social. Not well, they're big government. I get it, but at least the Democrats, you know, their constituency is younger in general. So I don't know what Republicans are thinking sometimes. But I think people underestimate how much this issue can be political suicide, truly in many ways. So anyways, guys, we're going to end the stream here at about 9:30. So last call for Super Chats. Anything you want to send in, feel free to do so. And we are reading all your questions and comments. But let's see. Sad to say, a furry introduced me to my husband. Long story. What the? Strange. I don't know if we want to hear that story. By the way, guys, I trimmed the beard. I don't know if anyone noticed. No one has commented on it yet. I feel like I trimmed it a little too short, but it's fine. It'll grow back. Yeah. I finally trimmed it for the first time in the history of the beard. So far, it's just been growing wildly. Okay. So, but now we have clippers. So now we just got to figure out the length. This is real. Dems should be campaigning for Social Security for all ages. They could do that. You know what you do? You abolish the damn payroll tax and just give people the money. But to a degree, I also understand why it exists, because a lot of your average, we'll call them wages, right? W-2s. A lot of them don't. But it sucks for people like us who actually are capable and functioning. But there are a lot of people out there who genuinely are incapable of managing money. And, you know, if we're up to them, they would have no retirement. So I understand why it exists. But I don't know. It should be an opt-in thing, at least for sure. Christopher for $2, thank you very much, says, I think trade is a very underrated issue. This is true, Christopher. It was a big issue in 2016. It was one of the biggest issues that got Trump elected. But it is true. I think en masse, sadly, a lot of people have kind of just accepted the fact that a lot of things will not be made in America anymore. But also, I think part of the reason it's an underrated issue is because it's so popular, because Trump made it so popular, that Democrats now, you listen to Bidenomics, he makes the same made in America arguments that are plagiarized from Trump. So maybe that's the reason why it's not really partisan, at least on paper. But yeah, it is truly an underrated issue. But what can we say? The parts of the country that used to manufacture are the forgotten parts of the country, right? Forgotten men and women, the middle American radical. So I suppose this is a part of it. Josie says, we worked together and became friends, and she gave him my number. Found out she is a furry later on, lol. Well, at least the furry was useful. Okay, congratulations. At least the furry was useful. All right, God works in mysterious ways. Yeah, true. This is real. This is very real. Sometimes he'll introduce your husband via a furry, I suppose. It happens. It happens. What can we say? What can we say? By having a service-only economy, it is a huge national security threat. that we can't manufacture anything. Yeah, real. Look at Taiwan with the microchips. You know, everyone. The biggest issue there is that if China takes Taiwan, it is real. You'd basically have no technology in the United States, like literally, because all the microchips are made there. So this is true. This is true. Yo, Red Eagle Politics. Shout out Red Eagle Politics, by the way. Everyone go subscribe to Red Eagle Politics for the biggest brains, electoral analysis, and political takes. He says, for $5, he says, we stand with 213K top V. We've been here since 2,000 subs. He's a dog. We got that dog. He's got that dog in him. 07's in chat. Shout out Red Eagle Politics. This is very real. This is very real. I think I was his 37th subscriber or something, which is weird. I've always had this Mandela effect about him for some reason. I thought he's been around since 2016, which he's not. But it is true. Thank you for the $5, Red Eagle Politics. And everyone go subscribe to Mr. R, okay? The R man. Red Eagle Politics. For the biggest brained political analysis. This is true. We need to get rep past LTE. Indeed. This is true. We do indeed need to do this. So everyone go subscribe to Red Eagle Politics. Let's take a look what else we got going on here. Vince, how would a Republican become governor in California, or would it be a lost cause? I'm gonna be real. The state has to get worse than it is now, exponentially worse. Okay, so I'm not gonna say it's impossible because it happened in Virginia. It almost happened in New York, so it definitely could happen. But you would need one of the weakest candidates ever, right? And I would say Gavin Newsom is too strong of a candidate, frankly. That may sound counterintuitive, but you need a Kathy Hochul or who is the Terry McAuliffe level of bad candidate. You would need a phenomenal Republican candidate. And even then, I don't know if you'd be able to do it because the electoral system in California, let me just say, with all those mail-in voting, they got a machine going. They truly do. They've had a machine going for many years. And so, you know, how do you overcome Los Angeles County? How do you ever overcome any of that stuff? I'm not going to say it's the most likely scenario, but hypothetically, you could see an outcome where things become so unbelievably bad that, you know, 1 year a Republican can steal it, quote unquote. I don't mean that. I mean that in the sense he rides under the radar. But even then, my issue is, you know, everyone in California knows how the voting system works there. And that'd be very hard for Republicans to overcome, right? Because you know how long they take to count in LA and San Francisco and all that stuff. So I think that's the issue here, frankly. So I don't know. Confusing with red elephants, perhaps. I just swear I remember seeing someone's electoral videos in 2016, but honestly, who knows. But anyways, we're gonna wrap up the stream here soon, so last call for super chats, ladies and gentlemen. Arnold Schwarzenegger pulled it off, but he was a total rhino. Yeah, well, it's the governor of California. I mean, realistically, what are you gonna get? It's not gonna be the best conservative ever, but you know, and all things considered, he was a decent governor for those standards back then. Of course, now he's just obsessed with Trump derangement syndrome and we got to save the environment. That's not an Arnold, you know, environment. I don't know. I can't do an Arnold Schwarzenegger. But, you know, while he drives his Hummer and his Bugatti and his, like, all his... I think the guy literally has a military style truck. He has a military truck. But, of course, climate change, right? Get to the Prius! Get to the Tesla! You know. So, the guy now, total hypocrite. He's washed. But when he was governor, you know, obviously there are a lot of problems. But he was not the worst governor. But who knows? Yeah, you'd have to get someone like that again. And I don't know if you could do that again. Because there's not really a movie star left in Hollywood who's so synonymous with California since Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's just a different culture now. Who are you going to run? I don't know. Brad Pitt, right? I have no idea. Mark Wahlberg? Do they even live in California? I don't know. But I'm just naming Hollywood people. Ice Cube. We're going to have Ice Cube run as a Republican. There you go. I got Ice Cube for governor, guys. Okay. With Governor Cube, with Governor O'Shea Jackson, every day will be a good day in South Central LA, okay? Ice Cube, what's your plan to bring down crime? Today, nobody I know got killed in South Central LA. It will be a good day. Mr. Jackson, what does that mean? What does that mean? This gives you the scowl-eyed look. This is real. There's Bruce Jenner. Well, he tried and he failed miserably. If you'll remember, right? Everyone was like, "Oh, because it's a tranny, it's gonna win," and that just didn't happen. So, you know, what color is Arnold's Bugatti? I honestly forgot. Let's see, Arnold Bugatti. What color is your Bugatti? It's silver. It's silver. He sold it. Okay, well, there you go. He actually sold his Bugatti for $2.5 million. So, imagine having a Bugatti and selling it. This is the see, I don't understand. When guys get old, they get rid of all their nice cars and are just like, oh, I don't want this anymore. You know, Arnold, you're an icon of men. You know, and look what's happened. He sells his Bugatti. He makes his Hummer into a Prius. Okay. What they have done to the greats. What they have done to the greats is truly atrocious, okay? So, say only in Ohio. Only in Ohio. There you go. Where is Barack? Barack is still stuck. Yeah. We got to bring back... We're going to bring back Barack soon, because we're going to be using the podcast stuff soon. It's just been sitting there. But we will return. Barack will return to the show. Okay, he has a lot to answer for. We got to ask him about the chef. Okay, so Barack will be back on the show. Okay, we're definitely gonna bring him back. Big Daddy says I'd vote for Cube. I don't know. I feel like the problem is I think Cube would basically just let anarchy run the state, but anarchy already runs the state, so at least it'd be funny that Ice Cube is the governor of California, and I don't know, maybe he'd lower taxes, right? I feel like that would be Ice Cube. I feel like he would do all the anti-cop stuff and all that, but that already happens in California, but he'd bring down taxes at least. Like, Ice Cube is literally the epitome of the whole, you know, let the country destroy itself, but at least have low taxes. So, you know, I do have confidence that Ice Cube would probably lower taxes as governor. So maybe we should run Ice Cube as governor of California, okay? Because he's not going to do anything. The state's just going to get worse. He won't solve any problems, but he'll bring down taxes. I'm confident in that because he doesn't seem like a guy who likes taxes. So, you know what? Maybe we should do it. Ice Cube, yeah, for the Libertarian Party. Okay, we need Libertarian Ice Cube. All right, we'll run him for California. We get the Republican to drop out. This is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen. Is Barack a man? No, he is not. I think Barack actually gave birth to the children. Yeah. It's actually one of the world's first like transgender marriage couples that had kids. You know the freak shows things you're seeing today. It actually started with Obama, in my opinion. So this is real. Well, let's see. All right, folks, so we're winding down the stream here, but any last stuff? Let's take a look. Trump's chef or chef from South Park? Who would you rather have as your chef? That is a good question. Trump. So let's take a look at the side by side. Trump's chef, built, jacked, also a real person. But chef from South Park is funny, and his name is Chef. Okay. How can you not have a chef whose name is Chef? Okay. So, I don't know. I might have to go with Chef from South Park, because Chef from South Park tells funny jokes and riddles. Does Trump Chef do that? I don't know. He's jacked. He has better physiognomy. But his name is not Chef. Whereas Chef's name from South Park is Chef. So I think I might have to go with South Park. To tell you the truth. I think I might have to. So... let's take a look. All right, folks, so we got no more super chats. Everyone be sure to leave a like right now on the stream. And we'll probably wind it down, folks, from here. So, thank you to everyone who tuned in. Hope you enjoyed tonight's stream. We will be back Monday for the return, 8 p.m. Eastern time here on the channel of the Vince Dow Show. We might honestly do a stream Sunday. There's something I have an idea about, but we'll let you know on that front. Just stay, turn on notifications, okay? Turn on notifications so you can know what we are doing if we do decide to do something. But yeah, folks, all right, until we go, everyone get this stream right now to 150 likes. And yeah, be safe, folks. No one drunk drive into a tree. Looking at you, Kevin Lee. Is Kevin Lee still in the chat? Anyways, but yeah, folks, until I see you on Monday, Alpha Moves only. Have a very good night. God bless. Like the stream before you go, and peace.